API validations today.
Okay,
So how
okay.
to validate data and all.
Okay. So let's start with that. I'm recording the session, so no problem. Okay, and I'll post it on YouTube and make it a private link and give you all the connection. Okay. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's start. So you can take over. You're on mute, Baswa. If you can unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry. So
Yeah,
can you
it's
guys
visible.
hear me?
Yeah. It's and your screen is visible. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will present today the API validations. Okay. So what all how to validate the data, because when we take input from the user, right, we need to validate for the null validation or date validation or between X and Y value. Some validations we may need to do, right? So how to do the data validation. So here I am creating a data validation sample API.
Shimon, tell me.
So let
No,
me
no.
create.
I click raw.
Okay, okay.
So let's say I'm creating a pipeline called create employee. This one I will just save it. So the let's take a scenario. So here I am creating a data into the MySQL employee name, age, salary. I created a form, right? So now let's say if the name is empty, I want to enforce the user to feed the name. And if the age is if the age is greater than 25, the salary should be, let's say, name should not be empty. So this validation I need to do. And if age is less than 25, the salary should be around 25k, let's say. So if it is greater, and it should be more than 25k, so let's say that is the validation we want to do, how to do in our system. So I will just present. Any doubt in the requirement? It can be any type of validation, but this is the standard format. Like any validation, what I am going to demo, the same way we need to do, but there are multiple steps. You need to use the steps as per that. That's all.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So you can type validate. So here you can see there is a validate data. So this is the step we need to use. And if you see the inputs, there is a validation pipeline and success pipeline. See, validation pipeline, I can create employee data validation or employee input validation. So this one I can define here. And once the validation is passed, what is the success? Like once these validations are passed, which pipeline to trigger? So employee success pipeline. So this I can configure. This is the first step we need to do. I can use the validate data. Like whenever we invoke this endpoint, right? This create an employee when we call from the UI, this will execute this step, and this step will check whether what is my validation pipeline and what is my success pipeline. If validations are passed, then only it will call the success pipeline. Under validation pipeline, you can add all your validations, whatever you need based on the data input. So like empty validation you need, like username should, employee name should not be empty. So here you can pass employee name. It's a variable. So employee name cannot be empty. So you can change any message. So like this, you can configure all the validations. And if employee name is passed, then only the success pipeline will trigger, where you can use that MySQL add data step, right? That step can be triggered where it will insert into a MySQL. So here the success pipeline can be added. So let me show you, like just I will just click on the test. So you can see no data has been passed. So you can see employee name cannot be empty. So let's say if I pass a employee name, so if I pass a employee name, I'll create a UI itself. So just pass it employee UI form. Here I'm just creating a save employee pipeline and then I'll just map it here. Here you can see save employee, that is the pipeline I need to call. And now let me call the API. So call API. So here you can see it will auto suggest data validation sample, create employee. So data pass request. Then I'm just picking my data pass. So here I can add, like yesterday I demoed, right? Add data to request. So here I can pass the employee name as a parameter to the request. So let me save this. So let me test. So you can say I just did a empty and employee name cannot be empty. You can see the validation message. So if I pass it and then send it, so there is no validation as such. So let me show you success message also. So I'll just add. So in the success I will just
Data added,
pass a
correct?
success message like
Added.
employee created. I'll just, you can see there is no failure message. So if I don't send it, you can see the employee name cannot be empty. So like this, in the data validation steps, you can just search by the text called validation. So you can see the list of all possible is there, like text min length validation. Let's say if your text should have minimum length, array length validation, array length maximum validation, text max length, text contains only character, rejects validation, URL validation. Let's say you are taking a input as a URL and if user enters a wrong URL, you need to validate so that user will enter a proper URL. So URL validation you can do. So empty validation just I demoed. Like email validation, text validation. So like salary I just showed you, right? So we can add a salary validation if need, like min max length validation. So we can include input validations. So input value, min value, operation. So you can define, like let's say the age. So this is the, age is less than 25, the salary should be 25,000. So like that, if you want to add input validation, we can do. And it's not like direct, just only the validations you can do. So it is like control based also you can do, like if else steps are there, like if age is greater than 20 or 25, my salary should be greater than 25. So like that, based on the if else conditions also you can enter it. So it is not like always I need to use a one after the other all the validation. It is not like that. So you can, based on the criteria, you can apply these validations like this. Create employee validation pipeline, rather than hard coding as a value, you can take it as a variable. So this variable can be dynamic. Let's say if age is greater than 25, my validation will be different. If age is less than 25, my validation can be different. So like that, you can define a multiple pipeline also. So like that, you can create a multiple validation pipeline and you can pass it as a parameter or a variable. So any questions?
Yes, can you do so? You can do multiple validations, correct?
Yes,
On these are all the validations on a form, correct? So you
yes,
can
yes,
take any form data or any data in the pipeline, correct? From any
yes, yes,
source. Am I correct?
yes.
Like you can you can check on your database, like for example, employee, and you can match it to membership, or you could
Yeah, definitely. Like now I added a validation data, right? Validate data step. Before that, I can query the MySQL also. Let's say I want a MySQL. I want to read a data from MySQL. I can take the data from MySQL and then this data I can apply in the validation. It is not like always I need to use a validation step. No, nothing like that. You can fetch the data from any systems and then you can apply the validation. And in the validation also, it is not like a fixed validation. You can validate based on the criteria. Like let's say if xyz I need to apply another pipeline. If the age is greater than 50, I can apply another validation. It's like a flow chart kind of thing. You might see this is like a sequence of steps. And what is the logic, we write it in code, same thing we are doing as a steps here. That's all, nothing much difference compared to the coding as well as no coding. It's all about the flow chart, like logic what you want to implement here. Through no code you are building the same logic, that's all. and all the steps are available for all your business requirement. You can use it and build end-to-end flow chart. So this one also we are improving, like instead of creating the pipelines and mapping here itself you can add a nested steps, so that way the confusion also will get reduced. So we are improving this flowchart building UI also, so day by day it will resolve, so that will help the users to build faster, and no confusions also it will be.
Okay, one more question I have in regards to validation. So you can actually validate a password and a user ID and password here. Is that correct? Or
Yes, yes.
okay, so you can have a basically entry as a username and password, and then you enter that module. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, that username and password it comes as part of the login, right? So the login system will take care of that. But here you can majorly validate the data. Like let's say you are giving a discount based on the customer. So let's say a customer has purchased the, you have created an invoice with invoice amount greater than 25,000, let's say the invoice value. So for that we need to give a 10% discount. If it is less than 25,000, we may need to give 5% discount. So like that you can apply the validations and you can do the calculations and then store it into a SQL. So like that you can do multiple validations, because we have varieties of control steps. So you can see there are if steps are there, if else is there. You can see the control flow. You can just search by control flow. So here you can see you can if statement. So let's say based on the if condition, like if it is true, I want to do some logic. If else is there, and then for loop is there. So like if you want to loop through an object, like you have an for every invoice you can see the items or order items. Order items will be there, it will be an array. So you want to loop through each one and calculate the total amount. So in that case you can now use the for loop also. So there is a for loop, you can use this. You can pass the data array and then you can execute a pipeline. So like this, all possible scenarios whatever needed for the end-to-end application building we support as a steps you can use. So it's very simple. Like I said, it is having a two components, endpoint and pipeline. Pipeline contains a sequence of steps. In the sequence of steps you can use all the logic whatever you need.
So basically, the pipeline will basically give your logic, right?
Yes, exactly.
And the endpoint will give you the result.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the endpoint is basically the signature to call from the UI. That's all.
Okay. So basically, you have three components here. One is the data API, which is built up of many pipelines. So each, like the name is all APIs, right? Create
Yeah.
employee is it an API? Employee data validation is an API, right? Employee success pipe, that's a pipeline, right?
Yes.
And then you have a pipeline, and then you have an endpoint. That's how your system works, right?
Yes.
Correct. And then I have another question for you. Supposing you have a form
Yeah.
with a lot of data, right?
Yeah.
And then basically at the end of your aim is to submit that information. First step is to check all the, like your
Validations.
email is correct, your conditions like email is correct.
Yeah.
So you'll have to build that in the pipeline, right?
Yes, exactly.
Correct. And for example, like area code for a telephone number, all these things are built
Yes.
into this, like a telephone check. Would you have that in place, or you will have to build that?
So you want phone number validations? Yeah, it's there.
Yes.
Phone
Okay,
validations.
validation. So phone validation, maybe PIN code validation, like zip code or whatever it is. American zip code, do you have? Or
We can enable those steps. Validation steps we can include it.
so in case we don't have, we'll have to come to you to
Yeah, we will build it quickly.
quickly. Okay, okay. So all these validations will be there. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So basically, what you have is an API which you start with, then you create a pipeline for that API, and then you close by an endpoint.
Yes.
Followed?
Yes. So just a steps we will add as part of the pipeline. That is our business logic. That's all.
Okay. So basically, the form will come into the form validation will come in the pipeline, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The complete business logic, it can be validation or where you are storing, where you are reading, everything will be part of pipelines that as a steps. That's all.
Okay. All right. So understood. And if we have some logic issues, we can contact you about the logic, correct?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Because starting out, so what I would suggest is first we have to map the process, correct? Like
Yes.
this is what we want to achieve, right? In the form,
Yeah.
and then try this out. So can we define
Yes.
something simple so that we can?
Yeah, exactly. Like we want to take one simple POC end to end. So during call, we can start building together, and both learning as well as building can happen together. So
So
that way,
let's.
real time scenarios, let's try out rather than I take some random scenario and doing. So let's have a proper scenarios where we can start building it, and then you guys can understand like how it is doing. So
So
entire
Kush,
requirement.
yeah, Kushal, do you have any suggestion or so?
Yes, actually, I have two queries. So first thing, sometimes we have to upload some profile picture or document through the API. So how to put those
Yeah.
validation? Can you show us?
Yeah, we can do it here. So here you can see in the UI components, you can select the upload. So we have multiple upload, like either you want this type of browse upload or drag and drop upload or a profile picture upload. Also we have like image upload where user can click and upload something like this. Like this can upload.
Yeah, what
So
about
and this
camera?
image can be passed.
Can you do camera
Yeah,
capture?
it is there camera also. Yeah, camera also we have camera component, so you can take it. So it needs a permission, so you can add it.
What about from
So
Android
rest
phone?
follow. You can take a pic.
Can you do it? Some things are
Yeah,
like
Android phone also it should work. Yeah, it should work. So because this is a web application, right, which enforces user to accept it. Once user accepts, he can take a photo.
okay. So show us an example of how this works now. This is like
So
maybe we
here
will do
you
a
can.
picture.
How to
Okay.
validate this thing in pipeline? Can you show that from the API end?
Yeah, so here let me show you. So once you upload it right in the data pipeline, you can see it comes as a files attachments. So here this is the step it will give. So get request files are an attachment. If this whatever the profile you have uploaded, it will be part of this. So you can create a attachment variable, and this you can check it. If the array is greater than one, user has sent the image, otherwise it is not. So like this you can apply the validations.
What about size?
Yeah, size also you can do. You can see this entire steps will give file name, extension, bytes, UID, key name, length. So all those attributes it will give, and you can apply the validation. Let's say the profile picture should not be greater than 2 MB. So you can compare the length. So if the bytes, because this will give as a bytes, you can compare the total bytes should not exceed more than 2 MB. So like that you can upload it. If you want, I will show you. Can I show
Okay.
you one scenario?
Okay, go ahead and show us.
Yeah. So let me. So here I'll just remove the employee validation. So let me add the attachment steps. Profile. So I'm creating a variable. So then so in the data validation, I'll just you can say I can pass this profile pic array, because this will be like a array. So it will give a list of objects. So here I can take the first record, and then I can read the size. So get property value from object, where I can take the size. So picture size in bytes. So basically this will give it in bytes. So I just saved it. So now I will go to the UI. So let me add a profile component, picture, image picture, save it. So I will give a variable name user picture. You can see call API with attachment. So here you can call the same pipeline. So here you can see add attachment. Form data. I will give the key name is profile picture, and I'll just see. So let me show you the preview. I'll show you the network how it goes. So I select a picture and then submit it. You can see create employee. Can you see profile picture? The binary of the file what we uploaded, it went. So now I need to enable the validation. So I'll go to the API. So I was just reading. So this one is it will give you the profile picture, and I'm taking the first record and then I'm taking the size. So here I can do the validation. So whether the size, just type by size. So input validations I have centered. So if I wanted 2 MB, so let's say at MB to bytes conversion, I'll just give. So 2 MB. So 2 MB means it will be around this. I think it will take a small size 500 MB. So byte, because the number is giving big one. So I'll just take with, or I'll go with just a byte conversion like 5000 bytes. It should not exceed more than 5000 bytes. So input value is my size, and compare value is 5000 greater than or equal. Then I can put profile picture size should be less than 0.5 MB something. You can change the data later, the messages and all, but I will just change the variable. So let me upload now. And even first thing is you can check the length also. If the profile, if this object itself is not there, then we have to throw the error saying that please add a upload a profile pitch. So that also you can do, like you can do the validations, a length mean validations. So pass the data, please please upload. So if it is less than 1, I mean if it is no records, it will display this error message. So 1 second. So it's a length, the key name is, I just wanted to see. See here you can see the profile picture should be less than 0.5 MB. So the bytes, what it is going, it is more than 5000 bytes. So if I increase to bigger one, let's say 5000, 5 lakhs I will give. And then you can save it. Oh, sorry, less than or equal. So less than or equal 5000. You can see there is no error. So it is working. Can you see? I'm just checking the byte should be less than 5 lakhs. Otherwise, it should throw error. Let's say if I make it 500 bytes, whatever I am uploading the picture, obviously it should have 500 greater than 500 bytes. So you can see the error message. And if I don't upload also, let's say I am not at all uploading, and if I just submit a save, you can see. So it should throw an error. So like this, you can include any type of validations and perform it. So we have variety of validations, but definitely if anything is not there, we will keep on adding because whatever till now we developed, whatever we noticed, we enabled it. If something is really not there, we will keep on improving. And these validations also, we are keep on improving it. It's nothing like it is only fixed. So we'll keep on adding, but this is how it's mainly it's a simple two process step validation. I need to use a validate data pipeline, and then and then I create a validation pipeline and success pipeline. In validation, I can add all my validation steps. In success, I can add a success steps. So what I need to do if the validation is passed, that's all. It is like a flowchart kind of thing.
Understood, Kushal?
Yes, yes. I have another query. So my second query is about
Yeah,
the variable. So let's say
yeah.
that EMP name is the variable, okay, for the API
Hmm.
endpoint as well, and this validation pipeline as well. So is that the case sensitive variable?
No, no, no. It is not a case sensitive variable name.
Okay, so the variable name can be different in validation pipeline, right?
Yeah, yeah. See, basically, what is variable? Let me explain. See, let's say you are. I'll just remove this. So I'll just. So let's say you are doing a calculation sum. So let's say you are applying a sum. So I have a number one, and then I have number two. Let's say 100 and 500. So this stores in a variable called total, and this one I need to use it in a next step. Let's say I want to calculate a what you can say divide something. I want to do another divide, so I want to pass the number whatever I calculated as a num one, and then dividend I want to pass it as a 5, then final result. So something like that you want to do. So like this, the execution of one step stores in this variable. The output of one step stores in a variable that can be used in a next step. So as a
Okay,
input to the variable. So you can see this one I can hard code as a 1,000, or I can take it as a output of previous steps in my second step. So like this you can pass. So this is the variable. So here the execution will hold it in this, and then I can use that result in the next step.
okay,
So basically, you can do calculations and then you can compare that validation or whatever in the steps, right? So here in this
Yeah,
case,
like
it's
values are like a hard coding. Like I am hard coding the data, but in most of scenario, I want to pass the execution of one result into another result. So that is what I am passing as a variable. The execution of some bulk is stored in total, and that I can pass it as a input to the next step as a variable. That's all. If I pass it as a value, that will be like a hard coding. I am hard coding 600. Instead of hard coding 600, I want to take it as a variable of previous step. So that I take it as a variable. That's all.
okay, okay. So hardcore will be a defined value. So a
Yeah.
variable is not a defined value, correct?
Yes, it's like execution of
Yeah, from a
previous.
form or variable
Yeah,
can come from
exactly.
a form, and then basically you can do all the steps, right?
Yes.
Okay, understood, Kushal?
yes, 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 I got it.
And then basically the endpoint, maybe you want to store this value, correct?
Yeah, let's say I want to store this final result into a SQL. You can use it. So this variable, you can pass it as a parameter in the data source settings, and you can use it. So
So that is
wherever variable is there, that is either the data from user input, or it is the executions within the steps.
so basically the endpoint would be to store this value in your MySQL, or would it be in the
Or wherever,
pipeline?
yeah. Yes.
Can you show me how you store it?
So let's say you are you are using MySQL add. So add data to MySQL. So here you can create a MySQL.
So you'll
So
bring up
here
the
inputs. So here you can pass that final result. See whatever this one here value again. If you want to hard code it, I don't want to hard code. I want to take it as a output. So here like this you can give it as a variable. So when the record gets inserted into this table, it takes the final result output and it will store it in the app ID. So like this anything. Let's say you are doing a total invoice amount. So you
can
are
you answer?
calculated the total invoice amount in the
Can someone
steps,
answer that?
and total invoice amount you can pass it as a variable to the table when you are inserting.
Okay. So basically, that'll be the end result,
This
end
final
source.
result will hold this final result will hold the execution because you are executing a sequence of steps, right? Each step result will store it in a variable that you can use anywhere in within the pipelines.
Okay, okay. So basically, the thing is to create an API, do the pipeline, and then do the endpoint, which is execute or whatever it is, and then store that information into the database. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, understood.
Yes.
Shimom, did you understand?
So have you guys used any Logic App or workflow building systems? Any Azure clouds like Logic App, Power Automate, such any platforms, Bubble or other any workflows have you guys used?
Uh, Kushal, Shimom, I think it's all
Yes.
hard code, right?
Hmm.
Is it all hard code?
No. See, these are no-code applications only, but we want to know whether they have used it in before. See,
I don't think so.
what I
I,
suggest is Kushal and Shubhangi, what you guys do is you have gone through the platform now. Daily training is going on. What Raju is suggesting is you have a use case with you, what you are currently building, or what Niger server give you. Based on that, you build one scenario, your own POC. Until and unless you will not do it, see multiple scenarios over here. We can do it. We can give you examples, show you examples. Once you do it by your own, you will be able to understand. Okay, fine. What is there? And if you are stuck somewhere, then Raju will guide you. So based on that, you will understand. It's all simple steps. See, you guys are developers. You will understand it much more clearly. It's all steps only. Normally, how you code it, that's the same way we have built the platform across. So it's not confusing for the developer's point of view. It will be like simple step by step without any coding. That's what happens. Nothing else.
okay.
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 Shubhangini, any questions?
No, no, no.
Please
No.
keep asking questions. See, this training is for you guys only. If you
Yes,
don't ask questions, you will not get it clarified.
yes.
We need you to be comfortable with the platform through and through. Once you are comfortable, over the top, what is assistance is required, then we are there, hand
See,
holding
we
you
have to
through and
play
through.
around the platform. See, any platform starting it will be difficult only. Once 1 or 2 days, if you try, it will be easier. So any platform you take, whether even the coding also you can't learn within 1 day, right? You will take 2 years, 3 years to learn the coding, right? Same way, if you use 1 or 2 days the platform, you will understand. See, whatever you used to code here, without coding, we are building the application, and everything is highly scalable. You don't have to worry about infrastructure. That is the benefit this platform offers. You can just build it and deploy within a day.
Okay. So anyway, we'll probably go to a scenario where we first we'll get a database set up. Then I'll probably do a scenario where from the form we capture some passport information, something like that, right? Attach a passport photograph or passport image or attach something or do something, right? So we can do some test scenarios with that, correct?
Yes.
Correct, correct.
Let's take a proper scenario and then we will build UI, API end to end and with a proper discussion. So that way, end to end use case, how we built, you can easily understand. And then similarly, you can apply for other scenarios. And if you face any problem, you can ping us, we will guide you. So that way you
Okay.
can understand. Without a use case, definitely it is very difficult to understand. I can explain these steps, but I actually doing with a real time scenario much better to understand than a random scenario.
So let me do one thing then. Let me give my developers about 3 or 4 scenarios, correct? Problems that they have to sort out,
Right.
correct? If you have any advisors on that, then tell us, okay? If you have. So what I'll do is come up with about 3 or 4 scenarios where they can uh, set up set up this within the system, and then come up with the pipeline and then the endpoint. What is the result that I expect, right? Would that be suitable?
Yes, that
Yeah,
will be
sure.
perfect, Nigel. Yeah.
So let me do that because basically I know what I want to reach out. So basically, we want to see whether this makes business sense for us also, and whether my developers can cope with the requirements. Okay, so I'll give them about 5 or 6 scenarios, probably by end of day today. They can try it and let me know whether they can fix it or they can. And if there is any challenge, then they can let me know. And then in the session tomorrow, so we'll share that information with everyone so that basically if there are any challenges, then they can. Then in the next session we can address those challenges. Correct?
Yes, perfect. Perfect. That is
Perfect.
perfect. Yeah, yeah. Great.
Because I mean, developers are more focused on the objective. So I would have to give them a case scenario, some business logic, and then figure it out. Correct?
Right, right.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Perfect then.
Perfect. Any other questions?
No.
No.
Yeah.
All right. So basically, this can combine with any business logic, right? That's what you're saying. So
Yes, yes.
the
Any business logic.
so basically the pipeline will be the business logic, the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever those numbers are. The pipe is the pipeline sequence, right? Which is basically
Yes.
code, right?
Yes.
Which is
Correct.
basically
Right.
the code, correct?
Yes.
Right, right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right. So what I understand is these are parts of the code which basically form the code which is runs the backend, and then the endpoint is the result, right?
Yes.
Which is the end of the code, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. All right. So I'll do that. Probably by in another 2 or 3 hours, I'll come up with some scenarios, and then I'll post it on the online. If there's any challenges, we'll address that tomorrow.
Yes. Sure.
Okay.
Done. Let's do that. Done.
Let's do
Okay.
that. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Okay. So
And
the
also,
so
please, guys, go through the training, whatever is there, videos and everything. Come up with the questions, any doubts on next day, so we can clarify that. Then go to the next step, because we don't want to have any doubts remaining for the next session. So you should be clear about what we have covered so far.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll do that.